Betraying friends and befriending enemies. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and let's talk about this. Donald Trump is changing the world order. And we're seeing that in a way that is horrifying because Donald Trump is making enemies out of historic allies and then befriending countries and leaders that have contempt for the United States. So as it stands right now, Ukraine's aid has been released and its intel from the United States has been released. And it has also accepted the peace deal that Donald Trump's administration is trying to broker. But on the other side, Vladimir Putin does not have any intention of stopping this war. And he has given some terms, or whatever they are not the terms that Ukraine agreed upon. And while this is going on, Russia keeps attacking Ukraine. The attacks continue and the slaughters continue. And there was news that came out a couple of days ago that Russia had captured this city called Sudza, and it was in the Kursk region where the war is now the most intense. Now, I don't remember Donald Trump going and admonishing Putin for not accepting the peace deal. And while the peace deal was being talked about in Saudi Arabia, Russia's attacks continued. But Donald Trump has not said one bad word about Putin or Russia. And right now, there has been no word out of the White House about the peace deal or the ceasefire deal that Ukraine signed off on. So we have turned our posture in such a way that we have threatened Ukraine by once pulling aid and intel and then releasing it again, by Elon Musk saying that he could shut down Starlink, but then saying no, he would never do it. But you realize that the short stop of that aid is a huge trauma for Ukrainians. And there's no understanding in America under Donald Trump's reign that even one day's pause of this very necessary aid to Ukraine means lives are being lost. So then we have Canada. Donald Trump has gone on and on and on long enough about it being the 51st state. He can be as serious as he wants, but attacking a NATO ally and actually thinking about annexing Canada is an absurd thing that Donald Trump needs to stop doing. He also needs to stop with the tariffs because he keeps escalating the trade war. Because Ontario had tariffed electricity by I think 25%. Donald Trump put 100% tariff on I don't know what from Canada, but it's just this obscene war, trade war, which is souring Canadians to Americans. They're boycotting America. They're booing the national anthem. And I, as an American, don't blame them. It is unfortunate that we have been able to essentially alienate our closest and oldest ally who walked with us through wars of the last century and when we were in need after 9/11. with Mexico because he had a very good conversation with President Sheinbaum. It's on hold, the tariffs. With Denmark, there's this problem of Greenland, where Greenland actually wants to be independent of Denmark itself, let alone want to be a state of the United States. But those foreign policy statements are insane. Talking about, he has asked the military, the Pentagon, to come up with options for the canal because he wants to take back the Panama Canal because the United States helped largely to build it. And he thinks the United States gets ripped off because China uses the canal a lot now. I mean, these are really, really sort of isolationist, but imperial. It's very imperial. It's hard to tell what the authoritarian machinations will be of Donald Trump, but suffice it to say that it is causing the world a lot of turmoil. With Europe put a 25% tariff on American whiskey, and in retaliation, Donald Trump has threatened to put a 200% tariff on Euro booze. Donald Trump doesn't realize that champagne from France is the only place you can get champagne, and that rich people are not going to be very happy that they have to pay twice as much now for stuff that they had gotten used to paying like $30 or $40 for. So, I mean, I think that, and then Europe, as a result of this change in Donald Trump's posture, has proposed vast restarting of their defense apparatus. Germany has proposed to put trillions of dollars in its infrastructure and defense. France has offered to provide the entire Eurozone, including Ukraine, with the nuclear umbrella and be the nuclear guarantor. And so they are turning away from the United States, and that is our friends that we are betraying because we have changed our posture in the world. We've become pro-Russia, as Russian state media says itself. Donald Trump really likes strongmen like Viktor Orban of Hungary. He likes dictators and authoritarians. He's aligned with countries like Belarus, North Korea, maybe Iran, maybe not. I don't know where we are with that. And then you have this deteriorating world order where at some point, even as recently as 4 months ago, there was sort of a consensus in the world that the United States was the power that kept everything at bay. And with Donald Trump's re-election, it is becoming clearer every day that that cohesion is going to be fractured. Because, for example, in Africa, a lot of countries like Sudan, Somalia, are going through droughts, and our U.S. food programs help a lot of take care of starvation problems in these parts of Africa. Then there's HIV prevention in Mozambique and other parts of Africa that U.S. aid program also pays for. We don't know whether those programs will survive the 83% cut that Marco Rubio has announced of U.S. aid going forward. So where is Africa and these nations in dire need go? They will go to China, because China is the only other viable global power that has the purchasing power to be able to go and provide aid. But their aid will come with many conditions, and it will turn the world into into at least two poles or more, because then you have Europe is very interested in partnering with India. India is a powerhouse when it comes to the population, and being able to partner with Europe provides another pole of powers, nuclear powers, who would create an alliance. There's also, India would play a crucial role because India would geopolitically be in a position to negotiate between Russia, with whom India has strong relations, and Europe, with whom India, for the largest part, almost all of it, have very good relations. So you see this fracturing of the global power geopolitical paradigm, and in many ways the economy will fracture along those lines, with Africa becoming dominant. China becoming dominant in the African continent. European products probably becoming cheaper in India, Indian goods becoming cheaper, raw materials becoming cheaper, produce, grains, and other imports and exports becoming cheaper between Europe and India. That's a benefit to economies that are completely independent of the United States. So the reliance of the United States being a superpower gets diminished every single day on the world stage, while China and India take on different roles, managerial roles, of regional parts of the world. Of course, the United States is going to remain the major power, but it is waning power, and it will be drastically waning when and if Donald Trump decides to stop enforcing our NATO obligations, and we have already cut aid programs, so that when that footprint goes away, with that goes any leverage or any soft power that we wield. And so we are going into a world that is now fractured. This is an episode that is primarily about how we are alienating our friends, our closest friends, Canada, Mexico, Europe as a whole, while siding with Putin, or at least not saying anything bad about Putin in a situation where enough bad has been said about Zelensky and Europe. It is clear, factually speaking, that the United States' current regime is not aligned with today's Europe or today's Ukraine. But Donald Trump's administration is more aligned with Russia and Saudi Arabia and North Korea and Belarus and Hungary and authoritarian regimes around the world. So, as we fight democracy and defend democracy at home, while there's this attack from within by Donald Trump, Elon Musk, we also must be aware of the impact that Donald Trump is having on the world stage and how much that is damaging America's role in the world. With that said, I'll end this episode. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.